Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this 10th day of August. Here, got a great show on tonight. Movement already in the Jets' offensive line. Plus, got a few comments. There's been some little bit of issue there with Eric Bieniemy with the Commanders, and I've got my take is never fear. There's a similar situation with the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator situation. I can give you a similarity, but I'm hiding the big lead. Jack Hirsch, Hall of Fame boxing writer, will be in 30 minutes past the hour. Going to ask him about Terrence Crawford, the welterweight champion. He's got like 3 belts, I want to say. Crawford's got 3 belts. So I want to ask him, why has he not been more well-known until just now? He got 40-0. Plus, I'll ask him about, obviously, I don't know why I keep messing up with this guy. Jake Paul here. Jake Paul, big fight last weekend, beat another MMA fighter. Guy's really getting a lot of big promotion, a lot of money for his bouts. We'll get into that. But first, let's take our only break here, and I'll be back in 49 seconds here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Alrighty then. I think I'll start off with this Eric Bieniemy story here, folks. Eric Bieniemy, for those of you, he is the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders at this time. He used to be with 10 years ago. Prior to 10 years ago, he worked as a running back. He was a coach at the University of Colorado. Had some shady stuff go on there. He rebounded. Andy Reid gives him a job. He's been with Andy Reid with the Chiefs for 10 years, pretty much 5 as a running back coach, 5 as an offensive coordinator. The media is saying, why isn't he getting a head coaching job? And they're insinuating air quote races and all this stuff. And then you got players like ex-players who played with the Chiefs, like LaShawn McCoy, saying that the guy is not a good, he's a good motivator and everything, but he's not a good schemer, not a good teacher. What is needed? Linda says we stole without a tampering charge. Yes, I'm gonna get fined. Linda coming in like the NBA on me here. But I did put that on the screen here. But anyways, so this stuff with Eric Bieniemy, so there's a lot to go around that. So let me go ahead. First of all, he was in the news earlier this week, or it may have been late last week. I can't remember. It means no, never mind. Ron Rivera saying the players have come up to him at the Commanders and say they have somewhat of an issue with his intensity. And then he later came back and it kind of reiterated what he said and air quote clarified what he said, and saying that he and position coaches, and that's something that I got Jim Jeffco coming on next week, Linda. So That'll be another $50,000 fine by the NBA. Might as well get $100,000, 150 if I get Mac to come back on. There'll be another fine by the NBA. Okay, so that's the Eric Bieniemy thing in a nutshell. Okay, first let me go ahead and play LeSean McCoy yesterday, former Kansas City Chief, now he works for Fox Sports, yesterday at Colin Cowherd's talking about Eric Bieniemy. Oh, I hope I did not mess up this because I really had this. I accidentally clicked off my iHeart. I think I got it. It's just going to take a second, folks. I believe it's already preset. Okay. LeSean McCoy on Eric Bieniemy. It'll probably, this is off an iHeart radio app, and it'll probably put a commercial in, but we're going to get this soundbite if it kills me. Something told me just to record it.
I go back and forth myself.
So you were at Cowboy practice. Now,
Yes.
you have always been willing to be critical of Dak. And so do you go to Cowboy practice? Are they looking at you a little sideways?
Well, that is not the, let me go ahead and double check. I had to go back and see exactly where I was on that sound bite there, folks. And we will make sure and get that. I thought it was 43 mark on the money. I don't know why I didn't do that. Was this from today's the 10th, isn't it? Yep. Either way. So basically he's saying that he's hollering at the starters and it's rubbing the players the wrong way. You know that, and he's been known to say that prior to coming on. That was just an actual soundbite. Prior to coming on this show, he said that months ago when he was hired for the Commanders' offensive coordinator. Okay, so this is what the reiteration, is that what you want to call it, Maps? Here is Ron Rivera talking about it, clarifying his comments. Ron Rivera on Eric Bieniemy.
I'll open up with this pretty much. You know, I realize my comments yesterday took on a different life than I intended yesterday. And that's on me for not being as clear as I needed to be. I'll own that. At the end of the day, we know that we're trying to build here. We're all aligned. As I've said many times since I hired Eric, I love the overall message that he gave to the team his first day. And that was basically, we got to learn to be comfortable when we're uncomfortable. And I think what's happened is for those guys on that side of the ball, things are uncomfortable. There's been a lot of change. And the entire way of doing things has changed on the offensive side. Change is hard, and I've always encouraged our players to have great dialogue and build relationships with our staff. Since those conversations took place with Eric and the players, I've seen the improvements. And I can honestly say that the last couple of practices probably been the best in training camp, which I think is great.
So he's saying he's getting the guys out of their comfort zone. Players and people don't like change. I've been on that side. When you go to a job, you get new management. Whether the old management gets fired or gets a better job, starts doing a lot of changes, and you're not really sure. You're not really sure if you can trust this person and where they're going at or where you stand at. Now, Jason Whitlock has always been a true serum kind of guy, brutally honest. I like to quote this guy because he says a lot of stuff that you can be seen as controversial. But there, I do see some of it as being truth here. Okay, so Whitlock says he's with CNN, or not CNN, Fox, ESPN. He's worked everywhere. Jason Whitlock says, "You will not hear any truth from the mainstream media regarding Eric Bieniemy. They're all invested in his success, to be honest." He says, "My initial concern to players complaining about Bieniemy's intensity. Why is Ron Rivera telling us this? Question mark. Then he says he knows Bieniemy was hired to replace him. Rivera's letting the media know the media and ownership know the Bieniemy style won't work with the ultimate leadership position. Bieniemy coaches like a position coach. It's all he really knows. Rivera is playing a game of chess, protecting his position while also revealing the truth about Bieniemy. He's a position coach who masquered, $50 word, meandered, if you want to put it that way, as OC and KC. Bieniemy is a great position coach. Media desperately wants him to be a head coach because of his skin color. He's all about ESPN and these big media people pushing this woke agenda, that equity and inclusion stuff. He's saying that the media is kind of putting Bieniemy out to be that. And the truth of the matter is, and I've had Jim Jeffcoat say this to me on Mac and Jack and Jim Jeffcoat's show, that he's aware of Eric Bieniemy's issues that came from Colorado that were pretty bad. Okay, just saying it like that. Some off the field related stuff. Now, Bieniemy has 10 years with Andy Reid, 5 as a head coach, or 5 as a running back coach, 5 as an offensive coordinator. Now, he's just an offensive coordinator, okay? He's not a head coach. Yes, position coaches, from years of watching these documentaries that I've just talked about last night with Keith Engel for TGI Sports, love these documentaries. The position coaches are loud, animated. They're a different breed than your quarterback coaches and your offensive coordinators and most of the head coaches, especially offensive-minded, okay? Offense, particularly quarterbacks, you want to kind of deal with them like you deal with a pilot or someone in the Air Force. You don't want to holler and do a drill sergeant, Marine-style type of training with someone who is piloting a fighter jet, all right? Because they've got to have their head clear. They can't have people making them nervous because it's a lot more complex in the offense. That's kind of what Jason Whitlock is getting to. Now, all that being said, a lot of times players do not, let me make sure I got this right. A lot of times players do not won't change. They do not want change. They're in their old habits. They're making a lot of money. There is some self of entitlement, and they just don't like to be pushed to certain levels at the professional level. They want to be treated as an equal, not as a student, okay? And, for example, Todd Haley, Ben Roethlisberger had won a couple Super Bowls. Todd Haley was hired as an offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 2012. The offense was lagging at the time, okay? There were reports that Big Ben did not like Todd Haley, that Todd Haley was not the best guy to get along with. But the raw numbers, and these are what they are, when Todd Haley got there, offensively, this team was, what did I got these numbers at? They were 7, 5. These are in points. This is the Steelers, 7, 5, 4. I mean, they were really good. They from those times, and we're talking years with guys like Le'Veon Bell and his big numbers going up to his contract year. Remember that? That's why he wanted all that money. He's getting all those catches. They're moving the ball all over the place. That's why a lot of heat was coming on Mike Tomlin, because they're getting this high seeding. They had this really good offense here. The emergence of Antonio Brown, Emmanuel Sanders, who's the guy? Actually, I don't know if that tight end was on there, but you get the point. Very good offense, getting rid of the ball quick, lot of movement here. Ben having his best numbers. The defense actually, if you guys recall, remember Jacksonville went up there and jumped on top of them, moved the ball all up and down the field. The defense was having problems during that era with Todd Haley, but Haley was a good offensive coordinator. Him, like I'm seeing Eric Bieniemy already, looks like not to be a head coach of material. But like I said, this offense under Todd Haley, whether Ben Roethlisberger wants to admit it or not, was his best years. His best years were under Todd Haley, getting the ball to the playmakers, making quick decisions. They moved the ball up and down the field. Now, the guy's not the best guy to get along with, not the best people skills, but, that offense got a little sluggish afterwards. There's a lot of speed in the Kansas City offense. He's probably pushing the players. They probably want to do some of that jet sweep stuff. They have to work at a certain speed. Former Pittsburgh Steelers said, when I went to Kansas City last year, this is the hardest I've ever worked in practice. Well, Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator there. He's pushed them a little bit harder, and the players don't like that because they're making millions of dollars and they're feeling insulted. That's my take, okay? That is my take. Listen, folks, I think this is a sleeper team, to be honest with you. I think things are going to calm down, and I'm looking at this roster here for the Commanders. I mean, you've got guys like Terry McLaurin. Johan Dotson is a starting receiver in this league. Big-time playmaker, very young. He's going to be getting a lot of exposure in this offense. Curtis Samuel, they're going to use him somewhat the way the Chiefs used Tyreek Hill in some of those jet sweeps. He was used like that in the Carolina Panthers system a few years ago. You've got Antonio Gibson. That's your pass-catching running back. And then you got your power guy who missed some time last year, and Brian Robertson Jr. So my thing is, I think the Commanders are going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay. I do think the players get a little thin-skinned sometimes. Maybe he's overdoing it a bit much. I'd rather have a player or a coach. Livy, I cannot see what you're putting down there. Oops, that thing just went off on me. Livy, you're not, whatever you're doing, it's not coming up here. I'd rather have a player or a coach here that you have to tone down rather than speed up, per se. Okay? If that makes any sense. Thumbs up. Oh, okay. Thank you, Olivia. All right, now, anyways, next story. As I've been talking about the last few weeks, folks, the Jets. Talked about the Jets yesterday. We mentioned Hard Knocks, all right? It was reported today that the Jets are now making offensive line shifts here. They're going to move Elijah Very Tucker to tackle. We talked about the Dwayne Brown has been out, and they've just had injuries, man. They're just not sure what they want to do with this offensive line. I just forgot the other right tackles, but they're going to move Tucker around. He played right tackle and left tackle last year, when there was injuries last year in mine. Here's my thing. All right, and it even got the attention of Mike Greenberg. Even got the attention of somewhat famous Jet fan Mike Greenberg from Mike and Mike, formerly Mike and Mike. He was on Get Up today saying that he is concerned already and that maybe they should make a big move in Jets land if I can find it. Man, I'm having some issues today, folks, getting my sound square away. I'm about to find it here in just a second. It's good stuff. It was from trying to see if I can get it in here. We will get it set up. Looks like CJ Stroud, by the way, while I'm finding this. Looks like he's having a rough opening game. Okay, here we go. Here is Mike Greenberg having an issue with the Jets already.
Dan is not reporting it's happening. Okay, I'm going over here. Go ahead. Get the shot up. We need. I'm going to make this plea in front of my jersey. We need this man standing tall when the season ends. Jets, go do it again. Diana's not reporting it's happening. I'm reporting they should do it. The Jets should go out and make a trade for offensive line help immediately, and David Bakhtiari would be the perfect place to.
Now, Bakhtiari, he's saying go out and get the 31-year-old player here that Bakhtiari was the left tackle under Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers. Here's the problem with Bakhtiari. He's owed a lot of money. Okay, he's got 2 big years left on this contract. They could swallow it. That being said, he's coming off an ACL from the year before last. Okay, not sure how long that's going to hold up. I'm sure this has been talked about because Rodgers wants to bring in Bakhtiari. That was reported earlier. He was on that air quote wish list. All right. Micaiah Becton is now even Micaiah Becton, who I was trying to think of earlier. He was at left tackle. He's not even listed as a starter right now. Micaiah Becton. Thanks for watching, Brian Parrish. Okay. Not sure. Okay. Anyways, so Becton is the guy that I was reporting last week, or talking about it, it was already reported last week that Becton, he was supposed to play like 23 snaps. He only played 7. All right. He only played 7. He's had a nagging knee injury. He does not want to play right tackle. He wants to play left tackle. The team's brought in, 38-year-old Dwayne Brown, the played left tackle, but Brown is not back yet. Micaiah Becton is having problems with his knee on and off, in air quotes. And then you got to look at the fact that they're already moving Elijah Very Tucker over at tackle. Let me see where they officially got him listed as of right now. He's still listed as right guard, Very Tucker. And they may move him to right or left tackle. Here's my thing. All right, this is a very similar situation. Think about the Denver Broncos back in 2014, all right? 2014, they had Peyton Manning there. They had a defensive-minded head coach there. Was it John Fox? John Fox come up a little bit short, made some adjustments to the defense, also wanted to make some adjustments to the running game. You're dealing with a guy coming off of a neck injury. Now, I know he came there, 12 or whatever. Coming off of a neck injury, made some final adjustments there. They got it right. They end up winning the Super Bowl once they got off of once they fired John Fox and brought in Gary Kubiak, former offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. The rest is history. The running back game gets going. They win the Super Bowl. Now, you're saying, why are you saying this? Well, let's go back to the draft. They have the 15th pick. Robert Saleh is the defensive-minded head coach. They take this guy, Will McDonald. Edge rusher out of Iowa State with the 15th pick. When Saleh knew and Douglas knew, I don't know if it was Douglas or Saleh. Douglas is the general manager. Saleh's the head coach. My sense is, being a defensive player, being a defensive-minded head coach, Saleh pushed for Douglas to draft the edge rusher, saying that he had the higher grade. I'm not sure for that. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what happened. You look down, there's a guy named Anton. Let me make sure I got this guy's name right. He went to 27th overall, right? His name is Anton Robertson, I want to say. Then again, I'll be jacking this guy's name up here. Or maybe Harrison. Either way, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they got a left tackle with the 27th pick Now we're talking, 12 picks down from Oklahoma, and now he's listed as a starter, okay, at right tackle. Stuff like that. Say if these guys fall apart, nothing happens with Becton or Dwayne Brown. They're moving Tucker in. They're making last-minute changes here. Maybe they're forced to make this trade. The Green Bay's already got their second-round pick. It will be a conditional first-round pick if Rodgers plays more than 65% of the snaps. Okay? So my thing is, did Saleh and Joe Douglas drop the ball? Did they drop the ball in the offseason by not getting that offensive line taken care of? That's the first thing in the draft that Tampa did with getting Thriston Wirfs from Tampa. Thriston Wirfs in the draft in the first round. Everybody thought they was going to get a running back. So on that note, I've got Jack Hirsch back here, and I guess I'll go backwards and ask him. That would be, I've got Hall of Fame boxing writer and big time Jets fan, Jack Hirsch in. That's a perfect segue. I don't know if you heard me back on the other side in the studio, whatever. That the Jets, they're already moving Elijah Very Tucker around in the offensive line. Do you think that maybe Saleh and Douglas have totally screwed up this help for protecting Aaron Rodgers?
I think they have to make certain adjustments. I think reality set in with that scrimmage with the Carolina Panthers. It's all fun and games when you're going against one another in practice. It's a good feel situation. The guys on the defensive side of the ball, they know they're not supposed to get too close to Aaron Rodgers. They're not supposed to put him under too much duress. I'm not talking about just the physical part of it, the mental part of it. You don't want to harass Aaron Rodgers. You don't want to tick him off. So it's a question like of cooperating more or less. Stick with the program. But the Panthers don't care about any of that. They want to throw Rodgers off his game. And Rodgers was quite upset because this is the closest thing he's really had to game conditions since he's been with the Jets. And he was a bit shaky with the Panthers. And he's a bit alarmed because he saw the offensive line, which has given the Jets so much trouble, the last couple of years. Is it really mended completely? They addressed it somewhat in the off season, but you want to know something? I'm going to tell you, Robert, this is a problem with virtually every team in the NFL. If you look at the weak link to just about every team in the NFL, it's the offensive line. So it's nothing different with the Jets.
Yeah, that's true. But my thing is, when you got a defensive-minded head coach like Saleh, and they drafted edge rusher, this guy, Will McDonald from Iowa State, that the optics look like that he's pushing for his side of the ball, knowing that Becton is hurt. Dwayne Brown's 38 years old, man.
Yeah, but in the draft,
and
they
he's
had
hurt
no
too.
choice but to go with McDonald, at number 5, at the time when he was available there at 15. Because all the projected offensive linemen who they would have wanted, that high up were taken at that point. So, so it was a question of taking the best play available. What are you going to stick with, a philosophy? Are you going to draft an offensive lineman who, let's say, hypothetically would normally go number 28, but because you have a need at 15, you take him at 15? It's a question at that point of taking the best play available.
But you have Rodgers, though. I mean, this is a special thing. Anton Harrison went 27th to Jacksonville. He's listed as a starting right tackle.
Yeah, I mean, listen, just the year before that, look, a couple of years before that, I mean, look at what happened with the Cincinnati Bengals. Penny Sewell was there, great offensive lineman from Oregon. Yet they went,
Jamar Chase,
wide receiver with Jamar Chase. I mean, and it's worked out for them. But Penny Sewell is turning into an all-pro type player now. So in the long run, he's going to be outstanding. And Jamar Chase was, a big hit right from the get-go. Joe Burrow's main weapon, his college teammate, the whole bit. But their need was the offensive line to protect Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Yet they went wide receiver. They went for the guy who they thought was the best player available, Cincinnati, and it did work out.
Yeah. Well, he did get hurt. He did get hurt in that Super Bowl. You can make the argument maybe if Sewell's there, maybe he doesn't get injured, but who knows? Yeah,
you can't go wrong. The offensive line is so important. Remember Matt Leinart when the Jets needed a quarterback, a while back, and Matt Leinart was really hyped out of college. And
he was really hyped.
And the Jets were going fourth in the draft, and they went, for the offensive linemen. So it's, it's what it is. And that lineup didn't work out, but that was the fans' choice. They were getting all excited, he'd be like Broadway Joe and all. And
I thought Liner was gonna be good too, man. I was really taken back, but he just didn't have the work ethic,
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, listen, it happened with the Cowboys as well. Jerry Jones wanted Johnny Manziel, and all his people insisted on Zach Martin, and they argued, and Jerry Jones went across the room one by one, trying to get someone to back him up on Johnny Manziel, because Johnny Manziel was from Texas as well, so that added to the appeal. But, you have to have a level head as far as that
goes. Did you see that documentary, Jack?
Which one? Which one?
On Johnny Manziel.
Well, I haven't seen it yet. It's new, right? It's on Netflix.
Yeah, it just came out the other day.
Yeah, I kind of like a wasted talent. I hate to say it. Johnny Manziel, as far as football goes, maybe he can make something really good out of his life. So that would be positive, when all is said and done. But, in college, he had all these difficulties as well. I heard Joe Thomas, speaking of offensive linemen, before, one of the best of all time, from the Cleveland Browns. Unfortunately, he was with a whole, bunch of losing teams over his whole career. But he has a great legacy that he stayed with Cleveland his whole career. And he was talking about Johnny Manziel. I heard him on an interview recently, and he said Johnny Manziel showed up at camp for one day and then left, and they couldn't find him.
Wow.
And he kind of wondered what was going on. I mean, you just don't do that. You leave and you disappear. So he kind of wondered his commitment. And even Joe Thomas said he finds it a little difficult to talk, but he's not mad at Johnny Manziel. But he also questioned whether Johnny Manziel had the physical attributes to make it in the league too, because he said he wasn't really that good an athlete. He was short. He really didn't have a quick release. So he was just questioning the whole pick. Oh, that's very nice there, Wesley Media Hub. I appreciate it. That's how your real name out there, Wesley Media Hub, I'm sure.
Wesley Media, Nigel. He's from Australia. You ought to check that Manziel. It's
Tim
good.
Zuri's going to want to hear about, he might be Terrence Crawford's next opponent if Errol Spence doesn't invoke his rematch.
Yeah.
Contract.
That was my next segue. Terrence Crawford, I just now heard of that. I'm a casual fan. A lot of people are casual boxing fans. This guy's 40-0. He'll be 36 in September. Well, how come we're just now hearing about him?
No, hardcore boxing fans, they all knew who Terrence Crawford was. He was rated number one pound for pound on a lot of lists. But this is his breakthrough fight. Why did it take so long? It's the business of boxing. Fights that should be made aren't made. Listen, even with Errol Spence, kudos to Errol Spence for the effort he put up against Crawford. He took a pounding, he, hung in there the whole time. Kudos to him. But I don't want to hear before the fight Spence and Crawford saying they're giving the fans what they want. They're doing this, they're doing that. Errol Spence delayed that darn fight for what, 3-4 years?
Wow. I didn't know. I don't know.
Well, Errol Spence held 3 belts and Crawford held 1 belt out of the 4 belts. It's total nonsense, these belts to me, except as a negotiating tool. So Errol Spence felt because he held 3 of the 4 major belts That entitled him to a big split. At one point, Errol Spence was talking in terms of a 70-30 split in his favor. He wasn't interested in fighting Terence Crawford. He feared Terence Crawford back then, no matter what said. And you could even tell when they signed for this fight, he'd be trying to make nice to Terence Crawford. When they'd have the final stare down, he'd say, "Oh, thank you for taking this fight, Terence. Thank you for making this happen." But you could tell if you read.
And the guy, he won in dominant fashion, no?
Yeah, listen, Errol Spence fought with a lot of heart. He's a heck of a fighter outside of this Crawford performance. He's had a great career, and he was competitive until he got knocked down at the end of the second round against Crawford. It wasn't anything that was a matter with Spence. It's just that Crawford's that great. But Crawford himself was in a bad position all the years because he fought for Bob Arum's Top Rank. But another promotional group, the PBC, they had all the top welterweights.
Oh, wow.
And because Crawford, I don't want to say it was with the wrong promotional group, Top Rank, because they would get him some decent paydays, not mega paydays, over the best opposition they could find, but it wasn't the elite opposition to put him on the map. Finally, Spence made the fight with Crawford because there was nowhere else to turn for Spence. There were no big, lucrative fights out there. There was nothing for him, nada. So Spence all of a sudden says, "I want to fight Terence Crawford." So the two of them spoke on the phone to make it happen. Neither guy had anywhere to go.
Wow.
They had nowhere to get, no one to play with. It's like you're going to the schoolyard. You're shooting the ball by yourself all day long, and you realize you need someone to guard you after a while. So the person you don't want to allow to share the ball with you invite him to play you one-on-one. And then he's your best buddy.
Is he the Russell Westbrook of boxing?
Who, Terence Crawford?
No, Errol Spence.
Oh, wow. He's a big sports fan. I mean, not a bad comparison. I like to sometimes compare in my own head for fun boxers to other athletes, who would be who. Like if I had to say Terence Crawford, compare him to anyone, I'd say like Ken Griffey Jr. How's that?
Okay. What about boxing wise?
No, I'm not level. If I had to prorate the type of athlete.
Yeah. I love Griffey. Wow, that's a great compliment, man.
Yeah, but our friend from Australia, they have a fighter there, Tim Tszyu. He was supposed to be fighting Jermell Charlo. There are two Charlos. The middleweight Jamal with the A and Jamel with the E. And the fight kept getting delayed. Charlo would get hurt, this, that. I don't want to say Charlo was ducking him because I think Charlo's a little better fighter and probably would have won, even though Tszyu would have been a very live underdog in that fight. So now Jermell Charlo gets a chance to fight Canelo Alvarez, move up 2 weight divisions, and you can't turn that down.
Yeah.
You're getting a big fight against Canelo. How do you turn that down? You don't.
Man.
But Terence Crawford is calling out Jermell Charlo.
Okay.
Now, Jermell Charlo, if he beats Canelo, he probably has a rematch with Canelo. And Jermell Charlo says he's going to go down from 168 to 154 after this fight, meaning he's not going to be the same fighter. Because when you go up and down weight divisions, it usually takes something out of you. And it's not any longer going to be the big fight. But Terence Crawford is so focused on that fight. Meanwhile, he's being challenged by Boots Ennis. And Terence Crawford is saying he doesn't want to fight Boots Ennis because it's a lose-lose situation. He says, if I beat him, they're going to say he wasn't ready for me.
Yeah.
Which they probably would say, in all fairness, because the skeptics are there the whole time. But in the meantime, Terence Crawford is calling out Jermell Charlo. If Jermell Charlo loses to Canelo Alvarez, they're going to say that fight took something out of him. And if he beats Canelo Alvarez and comes down in weight, they're going to say coming down in weight took it out of him. So, Crawford, attitude-wise, in a way, just like the rest of them, not taking on the toughest challenges, You know, the
Oh,
whole
so
time.
is that
But
why
with
you're
that
saying?
said, he is the best fighter in boxing pound.
Yeah,
for pound.
okay. Let me ask you a hypothetical. This was trending 2 weeks ago on Twitter and stuff. Mayweather. Would Mayweather fight him in an exhibition fight? Mayweather's a
Fight
villain.
who?
People want to see him lose.
Fight who?
Fight Terrence Crawford.
Why would Terrence Crawford want to do it?
Money.
I mean,
He's huge.
unless the money, you're right.
50
Good
million.
point, Rob. You got me on that one. No, you got me on that one. Because if Crawford was going to fight Mayweather, and this was going to be like the Rocky Balboa movie, we weren't sure whether it was going to become real or not
Right.
during the fight. People might want to see it. But you want to know something? I think Terrence Crawford's respectful Mayweather is. I think it would turn into a timid exhibition or
You think?
something along those lines. Wow. It would
Mayweather
have
was
to be
giving him
some-
compliments.
for Mayweather to do it, it would have to be some serious money. You
It
know,
would
and
be. People want to see Mayweather get beat.
But it would be an exhibition. It wouldn't be a real fight. You're
Right,
talking about
of
a
course.
real fight? Oh, Mayweather wouldn't fight Terrence Crawford for real. Mayweather, during his prime, was reluctant to take chances.
Yeah.
Do you think now that he's retired and has an unbeaten record, you know, and he's got the unbeaten record in part because he didn't always take the strongest challenges, okay?
Right.
Even though he was an all-time great fighter, don't get me wrong, Mayweather is, you know, an
Excellent
all-time
defender,
great.
yeah.
He's the best fighter really of his era. If you want to say over like a 20-year stretch, a 25-year, 30-year, 25-year stretch, he wasn't quite as good as Roy Jones. Roy Jones was absolutely better than Mayweather when he was in his prime. If you want to do a pound-for-pound comparison. But after Roy Jones' peak, Roy Jones started going downhill, you know, in the late 90s,
early 2000s.
Yeah, I forgot the year after that. Yeah, the early 200s, I believe it was. In 2003, around the time he fought Antonio Tarver, he'd been slipping up to that point. Mayweather basically took over as the best pound for pound. So for the last 20 years, for about close to 20 years, Mayweather was it.
Yeah, I think it would be tempting. Who would you compare this guy Crawford to? I think he looks like a heavier version of a Sugar Ray Leonard a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great comparison.
About 7 pounds difference.
Yeah, Crawford moved up from 135 to 140. Leonard was always 147 throughout most of his career.
Yeah.
He won a belt at 154. And then when he, came back to the ring after having one fight in 5 years, he fought Marvin Hagler at middleweight 160. And then after that, had some fights a little over that weight. But
So is that okay? That was just food for thought. Is that what you would say?
Donnie Lalonde was over the weight, just maybe one fight over the middleweight limit he had.
Okay. I know this one may annoy you. Jack does a show. Is this other guy you do a show with on Mondays? Is he a boxer also?
Yeah, Frank Laterza. He's a former amateur boxer. Frank knows his stuff. No, Frank's got the best insights of anyone I've met into boxing. Insights when you talk about breaking down styles, this and this and this. But sometimes with Laterza, compare him to a soccer player. He fakes the whole team out, the opposition. He dribbles downfield, the most spectacular moves. And then he shoots the score and he hits it off the post. That's my buddy. So that's his final predictions. He doesn't always nail, but I'm going to tell you, no one has his insights.
You and that guy argue. Y'all like the odd couple.
Oh, he has great insights, Frank. Are you kidding? I mean, really, really very perceptive.
He knows his stuff.
I've learned a lot opposite him, going back and forth. He's educated me on a lot of things.
Jake Paul. Now, you can laugh what you want, but Jake Paul, I heard about Jake Paul, this YouTuber, before me being the casual fan, than Terrence Crawford. He beat another MMA fighter last
Nate
Saturday.
Diaz. Nate Diaz. Yeah.
And then he
I
beat,
covered that fight for my publication, Boxing News in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts of this guy? He took Tommy. He took him to the wire. I mean, Tommy beat him, and Tommy's only got 9 fights.
Tommy Fury's a novice. Big deal. He took him to the wire. I mean,
He's a professional. He's got a boxing family, Jack.
I mean, come on. Who cares? That, taking Tommy Fury to the wire. Tommy Fury's a novice. Basically.
Yeah, he's only got 9 fights, everybody. But I thought I would just throw it out there. He's got good footwork.
Tommy Fury's a part-timer. I guess he's a model. He boxes sometimes. I'm not saying Tommy Fury's all that bad.
Yeah.
But I don't go crazy about that. Between Jake Paul and Nate Diaz, they were charging $60 for them pay-per-view.
Yeah.
And between the two of them, neither of them have ever beaten a professional boxer before. And it was a professional boxing match. No guy still has.
Well, that's why I want to get your insight. I didn't know that. Tommy's never been a professional boxer.
Tommy Fury wasn't in this fight.
Oh, you're talking about this Sylvia.
Yeah, Nate Diaz against Jake Paul.
Last weekend. Yeah.
When you kept Tommy Fury I don't want to say can't fight. He can fight a little bit. He's not in the news. He beat Jake Paul. He beat a guy who was a novice like himself.
Yeah.
I mean, Jake Paul, he's taking boxing seriously. I'll give him credit. He's been at it 3 years.
Yeah.
Normally, you need a few years of an amateur background and then to turn pro. If Jake Paul was matched the way a real professional boxer would be matched throughout his career, I mean, he wouldn't be bad. He would be maybe an average to slightly better than average preliminary fighter. Okay? That would, I mean, that, and maybe going forward, I don't see a great deal of potential in Jake Paul if he was strictly a boxer in the real sense, fighting other boxers all the time, being like another boxer. I don't see a great deal of potential in him to go far. Yeah. You know what he would be like? Rob? You can relate this to sports. It's like a college football player.
Okay.
You would not draft them on the 7 rounds at all, but you would look, and when the draft was done, you would call him up and invite him to camp to see what he got. No, he might make the team.
Yeah.
He might make the team. So that he's good enough to get the phone call to be invited to camp. They don't just invite anyone to camp.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be drafted, but he'd be invited.
Like Tim Tebow in baseball?
As far as his potential. Yeah, that's a great example. That is perfect. His ceiling, it's the same way as saying that Tim Tebow would have made it. If you let him play baseball full time, left him alone, and he was doing it for a while. Yeah. It would be, how far would Tim Tebow go in baseball? How far do you think he'd go in baseball if he didn't quit? The Mets eventually did want to. I think he made it to like the double. I can't remember. I don't think he made it all the way to AAA. But the excitement of Tim Tebow, I remember in Port St. Lucie, I went to spring training to see the Mets play a game. Yeah. I'm looking at the lineup. And they got good guys in there. Robinson Cano, Michael Conforto, a couple other good guys. But I see the name Tim Tebow, and I'm excited. That's like Jake Paul. Some people, he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated recently. Because he's a villain, Jack. Cover. But he fights. And the guys he beat Nate Robinson, former NBA player. Did Nate Robinson ever boxed before? And he beat another YouTube guy who was in ringside, Anson Gibb. Well, he beat a couple of MMA guys, though. Anson Gibb had no clue how to fight. Okay. That was Paul's debut. I was at Paul's debut in Miami at ringside. He had no clue how to fight Anson Gibb. But Paul has been taking it seriously, to his credit. He trains like a boxer. He tries to live by a boxer because he knows he can maximize with all this money. And you want to know something? And he's a pretty smart businessman. You
Yeah.
hear him talk, and you can't relate him to being a businessman. He sounds like some kid on the street who doesn't know what he's talking about, but he does. He took over the career of this woman, Amanda Serrano. She was a really good female boxer who
Yes.
she had to go to MMA. She couldn't get any meaningful boxing matches. So Jake Paul forms a promotional group, takes her under his wing, and builds her career to a point that none of the other boxing promoters could do. Getting
Yeah.
some decent paydays.
So he's the
kudos to him.
new Don King.
No. I mean, it's a different personality. I mean, Jake Paul's got so much going on now. He wants to fight Nate Diaz in MMA.
Yes.
I don't understand that. Because unless Jake Paul's looking to cash out, how can he really beat him in MMA? I can't see it.
I think
Who's my
Paul's
favorite
probably gonna.
Australian? I'll tell you. Let me answer this question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm not legendary at all, but my favorite Australian boxer, Jeff Fenech. But I met Jeff Fenech, and I'm embarrassed to say how, I talked to him, but I didn't give him the attention he deserved. It was in 2006 in Las Vegas.
Okay.
It was, I was involved with this group, the American Association of Professional Ringside Physicians. I got a media award for them for some strange reason. But at the banquet, Mike Tyson was there with Jeff Fenech. And
Yeah.
Jeff Fenech and Mike Tyson were very close friends. Jeff Fenech also trained Mike Tyson. Tyson was kind of happily drunk then. You know what I mean? Harmless
I think I
stuff.
remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Harmless stuff. Harmless stuff. He was polite, in a good mood, joking around. Banquet's over and everyone's leaving, and Tyson and Fenech are hanging around. You'd think there'd be a crowd around Tyson at that point. But when you have a bunch of physicians, they're not going to hang around Tyson forever the way a fan would. So Tyson came, I'm hanging out with Tyson and Fenech suddenly, and I get my picture taken with Tyson, and I think later, why the heck didn't I have it taken with Fenech? What's the matter with me? I was
did you ever hang out with Don King?
No, Don King, I actually spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. I wrote a story on this fellow promoter, Don Elbaum, who's 92, the same age as King.
Yeah.
Don Elbaum talks about what a crook that King was when he
Really?
that he started King in boxing. This is Don Elbaum talking. So I called King up. I do have his direct phone number to get a quote about Elbaum, but I didn't tell him that Elbaum said he was a crook, even though it's well documented. And Don King is saying, I love Don Elbaum. He helped me in the beginning, blah, blah, blah. But Don King wouldn't remember who I was, even though I met him a few times and, interviewed him and all. I don't think he keeps up with most of those names.
Because of his age?
No, not because of his names, because he's Don King. I mean, Don King was a major player for a lot of years because no one outworked him. I mean, let's give him his due. That guy seemed to work around the clock, and even though he had a promotional group and a company, it was King's personality, and I guess he couldn't keep up the pace. When you get older, you keep up that frantic pace. These guys, I don't know, but King has promoted recently, but not the biggest shows like in Miami Beach. They would lose money, the shows, and you get the feeling he does it just to keep in the game. Like about 6 months ago, earlier this year, I should say, he signed Adrian Broner.
Yes.
Adrian Broner he's the Antonio Brown of boxing.
Oh, is he that crazy?
Antonio Brown is now to football. Adrian Broner is to boxing in a way.
Taking his shorts off, walking off.
Antonio Brown could play in the USFL if he wanted to. They would welcome him there, not the NFL so quickly, not because he had some, issues.
Yeah. He was made to sell one of his teams or something. He got kicked out of a league as an owner.
Yeah, so Adrian Broner is just as unpredictable. There's a picture King giving Broner $100,000 bonus in the monies on the bet. One of the things that King has been accused of doing, what people say, he wants to sign a boxer, okay?
Yeah.
And let's say hypothetically, he says he's going to give them $1 million to sign with him. So to get out of the contract, but instead of the $1 million check, he'll put down $200,000 in cash on the bet.
Yeah.
And he feels the fighters, seeing the actual money, they'll go for it. They feel they're better off with the actual cash.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, you're saying they would never get the $1 million?
No, they can get the $1 million. They can enforce what's on the contract, but a lot of times King sometimes, unfortunately, understands the mindset in a way, and people unfortunately, think like that. They love having cash in hand.
Yeah. I was just curious about what's your thoughts on Tyson Fury? What would you rate a guy like that?
I don't even want to talk about him. He's fighting a mixed martial artist. I mean, for Jake Paul, it's okay.
Yeah.
For Jake Paul, it's okay because Jake Paul isn't that good of a fighter. Yeah. I mean, he's good for his. I respect him a great deal. For someone who didn't have an amateur background and has been boxing 3 years, he's done a good job.
He could take a hit.
I take him seriously as a boxer in itself. I don't take his career seriously because he's never beaten a professional boxer yet. And he's had.
Who would you like to see him fight to prove it to you he can go?
I mean, anyone. He took a gentle step in his one fight he lost with Tommy Fury.
Yeah.
He says he wants a rematch. Let him do it.
He knocked Fury down
with a jab.
Well, he knocked him down.
A hard jab. Yeah, I mean, whatever. So Tommy Fury isn't.
Yeah.
He has the Fury name. It's
right.
not.
What do you think about the older brother Tyson?
Someone beating Tommy Fury because he has the Fury name. Yeah. It's like saying someone they beat Jeffrey Jordan, Michael Jordan's son, one-on-one, and they should go to the NBA and get a lucrative contract. Come on.
What about Tyson? Tyson's supposed to come out of retirement and fight some guy.
Mike Tyson? No.
No, Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury isn't retired. He says he's retired. He says he's not retired.
Right. He's playing that game.
He holds the WBC belt. He was supposed to fight Alexander Usyk, so we know for sure who'd be the heavyweight champion. So Tyson Fury first announces his retirement. Usyk fights, and Usyk now should be the heavyweight champion. Okay. Fury's an adult. You announce your retirement, we take you at your word. You can't decide, I changed my mind, I'm coming back. Yeah, I mean, you can't do it. So Tyson Fury calls Usyk's bluff. I mean, Usyk called Fury's bluff because Fury says to Usyk, I'm going to fight you. It's a 70-30 split in my favor.
Oh,
now,
wow.
Think of that. No. And he says, for every day you delay, I take off 1%. Yeah. Usyk, the day he gets the offer, says accepted. He called his bluff.
Yeah.
And Fury never goes through with the fight, and it showed he never intended to. He wanted to say Usyk turned it down. Is Fury scared of Usyk? I don't think he's scared of him. I don't think Fury's in the mindset of boxing per se. Or maybe Usyk does have him unsettled because Usyk had 300 fights in his amateur career, gold medalist.
Wow.
He can really fight. Fury is tremendously talented. He's much bigger than Usyk.
Yeah.
But Usyk can really fight, and maybe Fury does have some doubts. I mean, it doesn't make any sense why he wouldn't fight Usyk.
I was so impressed the way he handled Wilder. He is kind of chunky, though, ain't he?
Oh,
He doesn't
Fury's
have
a
the
big
ideal
man.
boxer body.
No, I mean,
He looks
no,
like
he's
an
a
older
naturally big man.
Foreman.
Some guys are naturally big. That's what
Yeah.
drives me crazy in sports in general. Like with teams, they tell a player they have to get down to this weight.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's justified and it's a good thing to do, but some athletes are naturally big.
Yeah.
You leave them alone. You don't worry about them getting down, in weight to hit like a certain target. As long as they train hard and their nutrition isn't bad, leave it be.
Yeah. Yeah. So you never did answer that with Crawford. Who would you compare him to? Where do you rank Crawford now?
I like to wait till their career's over. He's number one pound for pound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's not.
What
Yeah.
about historically? Do you have a
With
comparison?
our friend from Australia, I could see Crawford going in and fighting Tim Tszyu
Okay.
in Australia. What I want to see Crawford do to really chase greatness and to really be rated as one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Make the conditions difficult. Don't shy away from difficult conditions. If you're going to fight Tim Tszyu, for example, go to Australia and fight Tim Tszyu.
Yeah.
Go there, knock out Tim Tszyu in Australia. I don't want to see Crawford say something to the effect, no, I call the shots, I've earned it, Tim Tszyu has to come to the United States. Because if I would do Tim Tszyu's a sporting hero in Australia, it would do enormous business there.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you go to some of these big fights that are out of the country like that?
Not out of the country. No. Even though I do have one thing to my credit, we don't talk about it in the show. I was the first American journalist, to cover a live professional boxing show in the Soviet Union in Russia in 1991.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Rocky Drago.
No, May 18th, 1991. Yeah.
Yeah.
I covered the first, live professional.
Who was it?
It was actually the second professional boxing show there, but the first one, there was no one from the United States who was there who covered.
Who was it? Who fought?
A fighter, Marcelo Figueroa from Argentina against Russia for the Universal Boxing Association heavyweight title. No, the group wanted me to be ratings chairman after.
It wasn't.
And I won't say who the official is. They came to my home.
Yeah.
To go over the ratings with me. I had it all set to see would it work out. And I have a guy 8th. And I go, ocho, and he'd make believe, and he'd go, dos, he'd point to number 2. Like to me, the mark, I go, no, ocho. He doesn't go all the way up, and it wasn't quite working out. I wasn't quite rating him where he wanted. So that little flirtation with being ratings chairman to see would it work out didn't work out.
Man, yeah. Mentioning your favorite all-time boxer, I'll see.
Costa Tszyu had a great career. The father, Tim Tszyu, Costa Tszyu with a K, not with a C over there. Well, this last name's spelled wrong, but I only give the spelling lesson.
Yeah, I hear you.
Isn't that good?
I've never heard of these Australian boxers.
Yeah. But Costa Tszyu lost one fight in his pro career. He retired after that fight. He lost to Ricky Hatton, in England there. And it was a bad star matchup for Tszyu at that stage. Tszyu lost more than one fight. I'm sorry. He got stopped by Vince Phillips as well. But Tszyu was a great fighter, scored a signature win over Zab Judah. He beat Julio Cesar Chavez. When Chavez was far past his career, he stopped him. But Costa Tszyu was an outstanding fighter. And when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, there was some class of Hall of Famers he was inducted with that year.
Okay.
He was inducted with Julio Cesar Chavez,
I know. I remember him.
Mike Tyson, and Rocky.
Man, Marciano.
Sylvester Stallone. And everyone. and Tyson was leading the Rocky chant on stage. So
Hey, I
that's
love that,
some
man.
lineup to be inducted with.
Yeah. Well, Jack, I appreciate you coming on, man. That's good stuff, buddy. Appreciate
I had
that.
a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun, and I'm gonna use the Muhammad Ali line that he used to use on the shows he went on since we taught boxing. Rap. I like your show. I like your style. Your pay's so low, I won't be back for a while. Ali used to use that.
All right, Howard Cosell.
I'll come back whenever you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah,
Okay,
hey, man.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I know sometimes if you got to do stuff at a meeting, I can always record now.
I'm good. Recording means it's interfering with my dinner. Hey, Corey, how you doing? Thanks.
Corey
Okay.
says he loved Jack, man.
Yeah, not many
Yeah.
do. So
Hey,
I
are
take
you
the
living down in
compliment.
Tampa right now?
No, I'll go to Florida later on. I'm in New York right now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I was thinking about moving down there, but it's too much hassle right now. It's too expensive, you know.
Well,
But
everywhere
I'm hanging
is
around Nashville.
everywhere is expensive. You know, it's funny when I drive to Florida, you could tell cost of living by where you stop to get a bite to eat. Because I'd stopped at South Carolina on
Yeah.
the way back to New York
A lot
one
cheaper.
year,
Huh?
and then we ordered, my wife and myself, the same McDonald's meal later on. We usually don't eat a McDonald's.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get that impression. But to get something cool when you're driving, even though you want to make time, even though we don't do it in one night. We
Right.
stop off somewhere. And it was about the same meal. The two things together, it was about $7 more from New
Wow.
York than South Carolina. So it was,
Wow.
like crazy. Something that would cost like $12 in South Carolina was $19 in New York. Same exact thing.
Yeah.
So when you think of cost of living and all.
It was like that when I lived up there, man. I bet it's crazy now. All those toll booths you drove. Why didn't you fly?
Oh, the toll booth. I like driving. I mean, that's
Do
just.
you really?
Yeah. I mean, then you need your car. Then you got to pay someone to drive your car.
Well, yeah, you could rent a car once you get down there.
Rent it. You know what it cost me? I'm down there 3 months. You're telling me to rent a car?
Oh, should you rent? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Come
Yeah.
on. Gotta have my car down there. Okay. I'm going. Oh, but good news. I'm going to a Buccaneer game this year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to see the Buccaneers against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
The
My
Buccaneers
buddy
will
who's
be
the
good.
season ticket holder, we already planned it. So, yeah.
You'll see Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. Who am I going to see quarterbacking the Buccaneers? Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, or someone else? This is going to be December 24th.
Kyle Trask.
Yeah, Kyle Trask. Oh, wow.
You'll be watching the offensive coordinator be the head coach. I think your guy will be fired by then.
Oh, boy.
I forgot his name now. Yeah.
Robert Salah?
No, the other guy.
Todd Bowles?
Todd Bowles, yeah.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot with Tampa.
Yeah,
I mean,
he'll be fired, and they'll probably
Yeah.
get Drake May or Caleb Williams from USC or
Yeah, but when you think of how appealing certain places are to work, you have to think about living conditions, coaches with their families. Let's say someone could coach a elite team. They're considered elite right now, the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
There's a coaching opening there, or Tampa Bay. It's more appealing Buffalo with Josh Allen, right? Quarterback.
But it's Buffalo, New York, though.
But in all due respect to Buffalo, New York, you got to live there year round. And those winters are going to be brutal. Compare the winter in Buffalo to Tampa. Come on.
Right. My friend John Rostano says it's great up there, but he's from there.
Yeah, well, when I see those things with the snow, they have to help get the team to play a game.
I don't even like the Nashville snow, Jack.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
You got it made, brother. Hey, I'll see you Sunday.
Okay. See you then. Thanks a lot.
All right, buddy. Thanks. All right, everybody. I will be at a meeting tomorrow with my man Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez. I'm going to meet up with him. Probably not going to be doing the show. You'll see a good rerun there. And I'll definitely be back Monday or Tuesday. Got a lot going on here. Trying to balance work and everything. It's all part of the sacrifice to get this program off the mat there. But I do want to thank Jack again. And I will see you otherwise sometime next week here on Sports Scope. Thank you, Wesley, Corey, everybody, Kathy. Have a good night, everybody.